His book opens with this dilemma, which is a key theme of the book. If slavery is a manifest and universal evil, why did no one seem to realize this until relatively recently? And what does that mean about our traditions of moral reasoning or divine guidance? Why do our scriptures condone slavery? And why did our prophets practice it? How can we venerate people and texts, the prophets, founding fathers, a scripture or founding document that considered slavery valid or normal? In chapter 1, Brown looks at the surprisingly difficult problem of defining exactly what slavery is and whether there is one thing we can call slavery across history. A leading scholar of slavery in Western civilization, Professor David Bryan Davis, observed, "The more we learn about slavery, the more difficult we have defining it." Brown gives us examples of this difficulty from history. Going back in time in his imaginary TARDIS is the Doctor Who's famous time machine, Brown observes the powerful prime minister of an expansive empire who enters the throne room surrounded by dozens of armed guards, and we sense the trepidation in the hushed muttering of the audience around us. One voice whispers, "The minister is worth 80 million gold ducats. He's married to the king's daughter," remarks another. Surely this man was not a slave. The minister was Sekulu Mehmed Pash, the Grand Vizier of the Ottoman Empire in 1578, yet he was also the slave of the Sultan. Brown goes forward in time in his imaginary TARDIS and visits a colder land where he encounters a man labouring in a large shop. He is exhausted by daily work hours that leave him little time to sleep, so Brown agrees to take him with him. But the shop owner catches him leaving and the man is imprisoned. Is the man a slave? Well, he lived in industrial England in 1860. Although the worker was a free man, according to the labour laws in England at that time, a worker who failed to show up for work was guilty of stealing from his employer. He could be tried and sentenced as a criminal, and this often occurred. Brown voyages onwards in his TARDIS to a new land where, passing down the road, he sees a crew of black youths clearing brush all day in the hot sun, their legs shackled and joined by chains. A white man watches over them with a gun in hand. Are these men slaves? Well, this place was rural Arizona in 2004, where the local sheriff was overseeing a chain gang from a juvenile prison. And there's a fascinating bit here about the question of slavery in the United States today. We all think, of course, that slavery has been abolished in America, but actually it hasn't. The critically acclaimed 2016 documentary 13th raised awareness of the fact that the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution, which formally abolished slavery in 1865, exempted those convicted of crimes from the prohibition on slavery or involuntary servitude. So Brown argues that it's undeniable that at least a portion of America's prison population labour should be categorised as slaves because they're not exempt from the prohibition on slavery and they're treated like slaves, even today.